What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to a Game Week 10 wildcard draft. In this video, we're going to talk about two drafts, and that is a Trippier draft and a no Trippier draft. Okay, we're going to, because obviously, when you have Trippier in your team, it's going to change things like certain players you can try and achieve and what you can get. So, what you're seeing on screen right now is the team that I had before Game Week 10. And we're going to try and change it into a game week 10 wildcard draft. But having said all of that, make sure, first of all, if you are new, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and welcome to the Football Chat Box. And let's get into the video. All right, now, first up, what we're going to do is we're going to record straight into the no Trippier draft. This is the Game Week 10 draft that I made. And basically what we've got in goal, I've gone for Areola and Turner. I think the keepers, to be honest, I think these two are probably the best in terms of money enabling and also decent fixtures that they have. So I think these two are the ones I'm going to go for. They do complement each other kind of decently well in terms of rotation pairing as well. So I like them. In defense, I've gone for Gabriel, Cash, Simicas, and I've gone for Guehi as well. But I think you can that fourth defender. It can be anyone else you want. Depends on how you want to go. Guehi does have a mixed bag of fixtures, so it depends on how you want to rotate it. You can probably go for someone else. You could even go for, honestly, a Dan Burn, because as you can see, this had 0.6 before. So maybe we go for Dan Burn, right? You could do something like this as well if you wanted to. If, say, you didn't have a Trippier and you just wanted like some cover. So we could do something like this for now. But it's up to you in terms of how you want to go for that fourth defender. Now, a few things to add into this. The one thing you'll notice without a Trippier draft is that you have a spot that your attacking player will be either an enabler in a Trippier draft or a main attacking player. Like in here, it's a power 5. I call it a power 5 because you got Saka, Maddison, Bowen, Mitoma, and Salah. Now, Maddison doesn't have to be Maddison. You can go for completely like someone else you want. You could switch this to Diaby if you think Diaby is going to do well. You could switch it to Martinelli if you wanted to pile on to the Sheffield United fixtures, right? You could do something like that. You could keep Maddison, and you could even not have Bowen, and you can go to Martinelli here. And in Game Week 11, you could switch Martinelli out to Bowen, right? If you think that you just want to target the Sheffield United and you just like to keep Maddison. That's a few things you could kind of try and do. Let me include Bowen back again. I need to switch that because he has gone up. So you could do something like this at the moment. Now, I put it for 7.3 because I got him in at 7.3 when his price rose. I have him in my like main team, but just this is showing you guys right now. Now, Maddison, there is a case to be made to maybe go without Spurs players as well. That fifth midfield spot. Now, I think Saka, Bowen, Mitoma, Salah are going to be like a template what you see in terms of wildcard squads, wildcard drafts. It's that fifth midfielder that's going to be different. If you have Trippier, it's going to be an enabler, and we'll see it very soon. But if you don't have Trippier, you have like this option to go for a big attacking player in terms of, like I said, Diaby, Martinelli, even Luis Diaz against Forest, right? Good fixtures for Liverpool upcoming. Who else can we go for? If you have the money, unfortunately, I don't have the money. Could have gone for Odegaard. Now, if you probably moved like this, you could do it. Now, I have Guehi in back here, and then maybe you could do something like, okay, Odegaard in, Saka in. That's a very expensive. Depends. Now, this is 0.0 in the bank. Some of you will be able to do this with more money in the bank. Some might not be able to do this. So it depends on your squad and team value. But yeah, Odegaard as another option. Who else is available? If you really wanted, you could keep Douglas Luiz. The other thing you could do, right? And I'm not against this, but for me, I still think 3-5-2 is probably the formation that's going to be the most flexible, give the best options in terms of midfielders that you want to go, because there are plenty of midfielders that we want, and there are plenty of midfielders that we can't get. Whereas forwards, I think it's still very limited in terms of who are the forwards I want. Like, I want Haaland, Watkins, and then it's either Darwin or Alvarez. So there aren't that many forwards I want. There might be weeks where I want 5 midfielders more than I want 3 forwards. So that's why I've gone for a 3-5-2, but it's up to you. You can go for 3-4-3. Then you can actually downgrade this, right, to one of the enablers. You could even go, let's say if you want to go Douglas Luiz, and you could upgrade Archer straight away. You have 7.5, and that basically gives you the ability to buy almost any striker you would like in terms of either Darwin. You could go for Alvarez, right? That's another option. You could pick whoever you want, depends on what you have. Even if you already have Alvarez and you didn't want to sell him on your team, right? Because you had like a lot of value stored up in him, you could do something like this. And then you can have almost 8 good attackers, I would say. But you'll just have to bench one week. Depends on how you kind of approach things. Douglas Luiz can also be someone else. It can be Cole Palmer, who is in Chelsea. It could be a Neto from Wolves. So it's all up to you in terms of how you want to approach it, but it's actually still a pretty good team. Where is Archer? Because he's 4.5 and he's the one who enables a 3-5-2. Here we go. So it's up to you in terms of how you want to do this, how you want to approach it. But there is money in the bank for you to try and do things. So that's my Game Week 10 wildcard draft without Trippier. Now, I'm going to show you the next one, which is with Trippier. This one has Trippier. Same goalkeepers. Defense, almost the same. The one thing that has changed was instead of Guehi, we got Trippier in here. Midfield, same except for that 5th midfield I told you about. And then the front line is the same, right? The one thing that changed, like I told you in the previous one, was the 5th midfielder becomes an enabler in this case. So with the recent, like we mentioned, if you watch the 5 things we learned video, there was a point with regards to enablers. And I did mention a few enablers in that video and just now as well. So you could put any of those enablers in here. It depends on who you want to put. They're all completely fine. Douglas Luiz, you have until like 6 million, right? 6 million, you can go and find a lot of midfielders who will be pretty good and will do well. You got Douglas Luiz who could do well. Neto, where is Cole Palmer is not on here, but he should be. Gordon, another good option, did well this week in Game Week 9. Then who else? I think, to be honest, I still think Souček is not a bad option, to be honest. You have Hwang Hee-chan, who could be another good prospect. So you got a few options in. You got Leon. I wouldn't go Leon Bailey. I don't think he's going to be a minutes risk. But you got a few options from Chelsea, from Newcastle, from Wolves, of Aston Villa to pick from in terms of enablers, and all of them have something to the name. Palmer with penalties, Douglas Luiz with penalties, Neto and Hwang doing really well in terms of getting like some form going on right now. So these guys, and then Gordon, that left wing spot is kind of like on his right now, so he is doing well as well with like Trippier or even Jacob Murphy crossing to him, and so he's another good option. So you got a couple options over here in terms of how you want to approach that 5-man midfield. You could in this situation, if you were to switch it to, let's say, a cheap 4.5, right, max, I don't know, you're probably not going to find too many. Maybe we go 4.9 in Souček, right? Let's just say Souček for now. I have 1.1. I can only upgrade Archer to a 5.6 striker. So that's another thing that you kind of lose in terms of flexibility by going to a Trippier draft. You don't have that flexibility like in the previous one where I showed you, where you could have gone to like 8 strikers, right? To like 8 attackers. You don't have that flexibility over here with the Trippier draft. That's the one thing you kind of have to give up. But then you have to ask yourself, Trippier versus that 8th, not even the flexibility of the 8th attacker, but like Trippier against the 7th attacker. In terms of here you go, I've got Douglas Luiz because I think the fixtures in the upcoming Luton, Forest and Fulham are pretty good. Worth tripling up on Aston Villa for that. So you're looking at, okay, if I didn't have Trippier, who would I have? Maddison, Martinelli, we saw Odegaard, Luis Diaz, all of those type of players. You're like, okay, you're asking yourself, Douglas Luiz plus Trippier, can they outscore any of those players I mentioned, plus in this specific situation, Tsimikas? And then you're basically, it's basically, then you're asking where the scales lie. I feel like those are very kind of like even scales, where sometimes you might say Trippier kind of outscores it, just him himself alone with the ability to get bonus points. He might be able to tip the scales in like Trippier plus like a Douglas Luiz, or even, I guess if you add Neto or Palmer, even if they were to get like minimal points, maybe there's a chance. So it depends on where you kind of want to switch things. But if you, let's say, had a 3 striker front, then that becomes a bit more interesting, because Alvarez, Darwin Núñez, those 2 players do have the capability to sometimes outscore this 5th midfield enabler in like a Douglas Luiz, a Palmer, a Gordon, right? They have the 2 strikers, they have a bit more possibility of scoring higher. And then you're like, okay, can Trippier do enough to sustain it? But for me, because I prefer more 3-5-2, I'm liking this formation right now, and I'm liking this draft, the one with the Trippier draft. And I'm thinking I might potentially stay on this draft, but let me know in the comments what you think. This also has 0.5 in the bank, so it gives me flexibility in future game weeks to kind of move things about if I wanted to. If I go to game week 11 with this, right, the team looks still pretty set. I can I bench Gabriel, right, previously, and started Tsimikas because Gabriel has Newcastle. I could go into game week 12 and I switch Matty Cash out. I've added Emerson here. He's red because he's suspended for game week 10, but it could be Emerson. It could be some other decent defender that pops up. Could be double. Would I go double Newcastle? Probably not, because they have Chelsea and United also coming up. But it could be any good defensive option that appears at that moment. The reason I took off Matty Cash is because Aston Villa start entering a tricky run come game week 13. So I felt like defensive wise, they're not going to keep as many clean sheets. So that's why I took Matty Cash out. Roll the second transfer or even play it, right? Depends on what you want to do. I've just toyed around, but things can change when you go in terms of forwards you want to get and forwards you want to drop. Watkins, in terms of his form, how it'll be back like come game week 13, because it's after an international break as well. So there are a few things you can change. Now, even in this draft, there's something you can do in terms of, let's say you still wanted a double Arsenal midfield. Can do that instead of Bowen, right? You could go Martinelli with this draft and then go game week 11 and say, oh, Newcastle are playing, I'll move Martinelli to Bowen now and get Bowen. That's another thing you could do, but it depends on how you want to approach things. For me, I have, at the moment, because of Bowen's price rise and because I caught it earlier, I have gone and I've keeping Bowen. So Martinelli might not happen because of that. So we'll see. But yeah, this is basically my 2 drafts. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, first of all, in terms of the Trippier versus no Trippier draft. And also, actually, let me show you. Here you go. Easy. Did I refresh this? Did I sync this? Yes. Okay. So this is basically, on your left, you see the no Trippier draft, and on the right, you see the Trippier draft. Now, obviously, like I said, the 4th defender can change for anyone else you want. We did change it here, but it hadn't. No, it didn't upgrade. Okay, yeah, it's the same. So we can change it if you want to. 0.6 in the bank on both drafts, as you can see. But this one, the no Trippier one, did have the flexibility to move to a 3 striker formation. If you went one of the midfielders down, Madison could become someone else as well. All up to you in terms of how you want to approach it. So let me know in the comments what you thought about both drafts. Are you in the Trippier camp or no Trippier camp? And how are you approaching game week 10? Are you wildcarding or not wildcarding? Or have you already played your wildcard? Let me know. And if you've already played your wildcard, do you have Trippier? And if you do, are you selling him? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And before I leave, I should say we have a Discord channel right now going on. Links will be in the description for you to join it. Make sure to join it because it'll be open only for a limited time, and after that it will be locked. So make sure to join it if you can. Links are in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.